Download the free practice worksheet on this topic or take a practice quiz at Mathcation.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another awesome math video from Mathcation. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to solve systems by graphing. As you can see, we have three important things that we need to remember when solving systems by graphing. The first thing we're going to do is graph both equations by following the rules for graphing in slope-intercept form. What that means is you will use slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. You have to know that m is the slope, which is also the rise divided by the run, and b is the y-intercept, which is where it starts, or where it crosses the y-axis. The solution will be the point of intersection between the two lines. So you're going to graph both equations. Let's say, just for example, here and here. Let's say we just graph two, and if they cross right here, that point will be the answer. So that will be the solution because it's the point of intersection. And finally, your solution has to be written as x and y coordinates. So you need to have both the x value and the y value in your solution. And if you're learning anything right now, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on other helpful math videos. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with our first practice problem on solving systems by graphing. This system gives us two equations. We have y equals 2x minus 3 and y equals negative 3x plus 2. We know how to use slope-intercept form to graph, so we know this is the slope and this is the y-intercept for the first equation. For the first equation of y equals 2x minus 3, our slope is 2 and our y-intercept is negative 3. Now the rise and the run for this slope is 2 over 1. You can't forget that whole numbers have a 1 underneath of them for the run. Because it's positive, that means you go up 2 and then you go over 1. And we're going to start at the y-intercept of negative 3. This first equation I'm going to graph in this blue color. We're going to start at negative 3. We find our origin. We go down 1, 2, 3. So that is our y-intercept right here. And then the slope is up 2 over 1. So we're going to go up 2 over 1. And that's the next point. And then up 2 over 1. And then up 2 over 1. Now you only have to graph one dot, but I'm just going to graph multiple to make it a little bit easier to see. And then I'm going to draw my line here, and that's our first equation. The next equation I'm going to graph in red. This equation gives us y equals negative 3x plus 2. So this negative 3 is our slope, and then our plus 2 is our y-intercept. So our slope is negative 3, and our y-intercept is positive 2. Now a negative 3 slope means you're going to go down 3 and then over 1. So it's a little bit different because it's negative. The dot actually moves down instead of up. So we start at positive 2. I'll go back and I find my origin. And I go up 1, 2. That's our y-intercept right there. And then we graph down 3 over 1. So we go down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. And those are going to be our points. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this line here, and that's our second line. Now the answer is going to be the point of intersection between these two lines, and if you look, they cross right here. So this right here is the solution to this system of equation. Now when you write this solution, you have to write it as an x and a y coordinate. So our x coordinate is 1, so it's positive 1 for our x, and then our y coordinate is negative 1, and it's negative 1 for the y. So our solution to this system is going to be positive 1 for x, and then negative 1 for y. Moving on to the next system of equation that we're going to solve by graphing. This one gives us y equals 4x plus 3 as our first equation, and our second equation is y equals negative x minus 2. I'm going to identify the slope and the y-intercept for the first equation. So our slope in this case is 4, and our y-intercept for the first equation is 3. So I can graph that. Now remember, slope, if it's positive 4, that means you go up 4 and you go over 1. We're going to start at positive 3. So we go 1, 2, 3. There's our positive 3. And then we use the slope to find the next point. So we go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then we're going to connect those dots. So there's our first equation. Our second equation gives us y equals negative x minus 2. Our slope, this would be a negative 1, so our slope is negative 1. Our y-intercept is negative 2. Now a negative 1 means that you are going to go down 1 and then over 1. So this time, if it's negative, it goes down. So we start at negative 2. So we start at negative 2 here. You go down 1, over 1. Down 1, over 1. Down 1, over 1. And then we draw our line. And then to get the answer is going to be the point of intersection. That's our solution. So our solution is where they cross, which is right here. And if you look, it's going to, and remember the solution has to be an xy coordinate. So if we look, our x coordinate is negative 1 and our y coordinate is also negative 1. So the solution to this system of equation is negative 1, negative 1, because that's where the two equations intersect. Moving on to our last practice problem for solving systems by graphing. This one gives us two equations, y equals 4x plus 1 and y equals x plus 2. I'm going to go ahead and identify the slope and the y-intercept for the first equation. This slope is 4 and this y-intercept is positive 1. Now remember, the slope of 4 means you go up 4 and you go over 1. Our starting point is positive 1, so we go here. The slope is positive 4, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And I can connect those dots. So I'm going to draw my lines here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for our second equation. We can have our slope. This is going to be positive 1. And our y-intercept is negative 2. So positive 1 slope means you go up 1 and you go over 1. Now to graph this, we're going to start at our starting point of negative 2. So we go to the origin, we go down 1, down 2. There's our starting point. And the slope is positive 1. So you go up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. And then when you graph this, extend the line in both directions, and they intersect at this point right here, and that point of intersection is our solution. And you have to write your solution as an x and a y coordinate. So our x coordinate is going to be negative 1, and our y coordinate is 1, 2, 3, negative 3. So the two equations cross in this system at the point negative 1, negative 3, and because that's where they cross, that's going to be the solution. And if you want to do some more practice on solving systems by graphing, go ahead and click the link in the top right part of this video, and you'll be taken to some practice problems as well as a free worksheet that will grade itself and tell you how you did. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you got something out of it, and drop a comment telling me if this video helped you or if you need help with something else. See ya!